As the spring of 1998 began, the turkey hunter had high hopes for a great season. Warm weather following a mild winter and plenty of early gobbling indicated great days to follow. This long-awaited season would soon turn sour as far as the weather was concerned. From south to north, March and April brought rain, wind, tornadoes, fog, and cool, damp weather. Since El Nino had brought bizarre weather over the past year, we'll blame it. Instead of an early spring, it seems everything was late, including the transitions of hens leaving the gobblers. Since season starts on a specific date, there are no bad weather days given back to the hunter. So the Knight and Hale boys took in every day, rain, wind, or shine. Their season started in the south in Florida, then to Alabama. Successful hunts were captured in spite of unfavorable weather. Returning home to Kentucky, Tennessee, and Missouri, the same weather followed. High winds, torrential rains, and cool weather certainly meant new tactics for successful videoing. If patience normally describes a turkey hunter, persistence would better serve the '98 spring gobbler chaser. Knowing the land and the nature of turkeys paid big dividends to our team on their home turf. Traveling north, then west, the guys found better weather conditions and beautiful Montana skies. All in all, we hunted 7 different states, chalking up 23 total hunts on video, choosing 16 of the best for our Spring 5 Ultimate Video. Although there were some good days, the 1998 season is best summed up as different conditions for the spring traditions.
Harold, that big gobbler blowed up coming down through there this morning. Looked like he was 100 pounds, but you know what? That turkey weighed 22 pounds, and I didn't know Alabama raised that big a turkey.
I tell you what, Chuck hit it right on the head. I think these big old swamp turkeys in Alabama are bigger than some of these other turkeys.
Boy, he wanted to fight. Y'all pull one of your old tricks on this gobbler, pull that fighting purr out, and
I tell you what, a lot of people done forgot about them. I hadn't.
I guarantee you.
Well, now you talking about swamp gobblers. As you look around here, we're on the Warrior River with an oxbow in here, and all these cypress trees, and some of these cypress trees are 100 years old, I guarantee you. And this is about as good as it gets to me, to what Alabama used to look like.
I tell you what's absolutely beautiful. You got the big oak trees still left, and it's just absolutely beautiful here.
And a gobbler. Ooh, it don't get much better than that. Guys, I don't know what the next 40-something days is going to bring, but the last 10 days has brought a lot of cool weather and a lot of rain. I sure am proud to see the sunshine. You know, we've been to, South Carolina for a couple, 3 days, got a hunt there. We've been to Florida, got a couple of hunts there. And I guess we're fixing to leave here from Alabama after a couple, 3 days, and we're going to head back north. And, you know, it's kind of interesting when you go south, you see all these leaves all budded out, and then when you get back up north, you like to have a snowstorm. That's going right back to winter again, ain't it?
Well, we'll head here to Tennessee. You know, and maybe it won't be that bad in Tennessee. Then we'll hunt Kentucky and go right on up to Illinois and Missouri, and then maybe out to Montana.
I'm trying to figure out a way I can load some of this flat ground up and carry it up there with us to hunt on. I kind of like this. Mosquitoes and cottonmouths are a little tough. But
well, now next week you're going to meet Walter, and I guess old Nappy Head's ready to kill one of those Tennessee turkeys, you reckon?
Y'all going to help us, aren't you? You know we'll struggle without y'all's
help.
help.
What,
right.
I'm going to call for Walter this time.
Well, I tell you what, he'd welcome it. I guarantee you that.
Well, I don't know about y'all, but I'm taking about 5 days off from this filming because I got a couple of grandbabies coming, and I want them little rascals to feel what it's like to to be introduced to turkey hunting before they get out in the real world and see what it's like.
You know, we got some youth too, Dave. We're gonna take turkey hunting this year, and I think that this, whether they have success or not, we introduced them to the great sport of turkey hunting, and I think that's good.
Oh man, there's nothing like kids. I'm gonna drag my 5-year-old out there and let her scare one off just
Yeah, well,
to experience it.
You're going to do it in the time that I'm off. We're not going to do it on film. And folks, welcome to our 5th edition of Ultimate Spring Turkey Hunting. I promise you, we have got some great hunts already in the bag. I don't know what the next days are going to bring, but I got a feeling that the old turkeys are gobbling. We're going to make something happen.
I hope this is not the last one. And
I
Harold,
do too. I tell you what I'll do. I'll clean that dude if you'll cook it tonight.
well, get to cleaning, buddy.
Well, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. We're gonna eat that turkey.
Folks, y'all
tonight.
stay tuned. We got some more great turkey action coming up. Boy, I sure wish you could hunt turkeys in the afternoon in Florida.
Well, you can't, so you just will have to get out and scout and find a good place the next morning.
Well, I believe we have found it. I wish you would look where they've been scratching these chickens.
All right. It'll be perfect here this morning. I'm surprised. They don't have a field on the walk up.
Look at the tracks. Brian, they've been here. Look right here.
Look here, boy. They've been scratching him. They're digging them out.
The weather here in Florida has been windy, wet, and cool for several weeks, and turkeys aren't gobbling very well. When Harold and David found that turkey sign, they knew where to be at first light. The plan was to get hidden and do a little calling. Right off, a big gobbler pitched from the roost and hit the field. Well, David thinks this will be a piece of cake until he hears soft yelps in the trees. Sure enough, this old Tom has a large harem of hens, and odds are they have met here before. All a guy can do in this situation is call just enough to hopefully arouse the curiosity of the hens. Luckily, Harold is hidden behind David, so the guys will sound like more than one hen. Finally, the hens decide to come check things out. Mossy Oak's shadow leaf is doing a perfect job of concealing the Knight and Hale boys. Remaining undetected from all those eyes is not easy. One wrong move could spoil the moment.
Harold, that's as good a set of Osceola spurs as you'll see.
Man, I tell you what, I'm amazed at these old Florida turkeys. When they get past 3-year-olds, they have spurs, don't they?
I'm telling you, well, look here. Now, anybody wants to know what a true Osceola, look at the barcode in that thing.
Man, that's a lot different than the eastern turkey where we live.
He's probably going to weigh 17 and a half, 18 pounds, but you know what? He was the daddy rabbit. Now, we came in here yesterday afternoon on this food plot. This choof was all out here,
Yeah.
and we saw those hens feeding in it, and knew it had to be a gobbler close
You know, I was
by.
impressed seeing them hens fly in, too. You know, they do that a lot of times. They just fly right into...
Well, we knew they wasn't roosted too far, and they flew right into this food plot this morning. You're exactly right. And he just had to come out there and take over, didn't
I tell you what, he wouldn't hardly come out strut either. He had what he wanted right around.
he? And
you know,
hens kept coming in.
I noticed you didn't do a lot of calling. Wasn't no use. did you?
No, what I did was just try to get those hens up here a little closer. Did just enough calling to get their attention up here. And you know, sometimes curiosity will bring them on, and it did.
And I noticed, I sat back there looking, Dave, I seen them hens getting so close to you. I said, uh-oh, I better bring out a call and call just a little bit so that...
You brought
get
that
the-
new call,
Yeah, I
didn't you?
brought this new call out, and I said, man alive, I'm going to have to call just a little, get them hens' attention away from you a little.
Up in the morning, especially during early season, gobblers will often get henned up and the gobbling will stop. Harold and David had some turkeys gobbling earlier in this area. The woods are quiet now, so these boys are trying to relocate the flock. David heard a couple of gobbles and some soft hen yelps that might have given the old gobbler's position away.
All those turkeys are gobbling about 250 yards down there. Look at your binoculars and see if you can see anything.
Them woods is open, ain't they?
Well, they are right here. Yeah, I see the tail feathers. They strutting?
Yeah, they're strutting. They're over a little bank or something there, David.
All right.
Yeah, but now there's a ditch down there, too. They're right over a ditch. We're going to have to, I mean, from here on, be easy.
What do you say we get over the edge of this cane and see if we can get close to them?
All right?
See if you can see those turkeys.
Yeah, I see them. I see two tail feathers for sure, Stick. See that ditch yonder?
Yeah.
There's a ditch yonder. Look how it goes down. Now, we can get to that ditch, we in business. See how it gets lower there?
All right, look, you see if you can get in the ditch. I'm going to lay back this side of it,
Yeah.
and I'll use the fighting purse because if we get in close and the turkeys won't come to your call, we'll put a fight on, but I'm going to do it as a last resort, okay?
All right, let me tell you something. They're about 50 yards on the other side of the ditch. Now, you going to sit up right behind me.
I'm going to set it behind you. Come on.
When turkeys are bunched up, you have to get close to have any chance at all. These guys know if they can get close, David might sit back and try to coax one into Harold. When birds respond to aggressive calling like this, it's important to continue the calling, especially if you can watch the birds like David and Harold are able to do. The fighting purrs are a great last resort style of call that can easily persuade a henned-up gobbler to come in. And many times the hens will come with the gobblers following behind.
Oh, that's what's called a bunch of henned-up gobblers, wasn't it?
Yeah, a bunch of gobblers together too. Man alive, that was a good hunt though.
A good 2-year-old gobbler, Bubba.
Yeah,
He was boss of that little bunch down there, though,
I
wasn't
tell you what, I'll tell you something else. The scenario we was in this morning, we was falling in behind these turkeys. They wanting to go the other way. I was glad to see you pull out them fighting purrs.
he? Well, you know what? When they walked out in that field out there and you saw them going edge of the woods,
Yeah.
it was a sneak attack all the way down through there trying to get close. You know, this time of year, I think the key to it is you have really got to get close to these turkeys if you're going to do anything with them, because they wouldn't hardly answer a call way up yonder.
Well, they'd answer something loud, you know, like cutting or something real loud. But they, you know, they had what they wanted, Dave. They had the hens with them, and they was following those hens. But I tell you what, when you brought those fighting purrs out, the whole complexion changed them turkeys. I mean, one of them I was looking, you know, his wattle got red, and from that time on, they was easing a little closer.
Well, he didn't break and run up here, but you know what? All three of those gobblers strutted back up here to see, or at least came back up here, and this one kept doing all the strutting.
I think there's about 5 gobblers, and I could see about 3 of them. I think there's a Jake or 2 out there, and you know, they're scattered out to where.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt the fighting purrs today was a ticket when you got in close to try to make them come back at 50, 75 yards. And, you know, I kept being concerned a little bit about you sitting on that log, but you was down below that hump, and all you had up was your head.
You thought I'd done messed up sitting out in the open there, didn't you?
Buddy, you did good. That's great.
Just right down the bottom of this ridge.
It may seem like luck that pro staffer Van Watham got this close to a gobbler that quick. Well, Van had been maneuvering for over an hour in order to get to the right place to work the gobblers. These turkeys have had experience with other hunters, so they won't allow many mistakes. Van is doing what the Knight and Hale boys call getting into his kitchen. Basically, he's found one of their strutting zones. He's worked himself in real close by doing lots of slow moving and listening. Now it's time to take a seat and try some hen calls. Making the proper setup is one of the keys to being a successful spring gobbler hunter. Yes, sir. We have plenty of wind to turkey hunt in on this day, and Harold is going to have the wet look. But you can't do any hunting around the house. Regardless of the weather, if you have the time, you better hit the woods. Harold and David are with longtime friend Barry Bybee. Some pre-scouting has found several gobblers in this area, and before long, Harold's cutting has raised a response. When the woods are this open and the wind has everything moving, turkeys are a little spooky. This old longbeard doesn't like something.
Yeah, thank you, so I'm gonna move my gun bar a little bit.
I seen him flicker them wings, and I seen him sort of ease off. You know, he wasn't just scared to death, but he's not gonna come. What we're gonna have to do, I think, is go down here as windy as this, and go down to this cornfield and set. Because, you know, it's windy out here. It's 25-mile-an-hour wind.
Yeah, they touching this woods, yeah.
So let's get in and sit in.
With the high wind, the bottoms are definitely the place to be. You need to get somewhere and set up, because walking and calling on a windy day when you can't hear is only going to spook and educate your turkey. The old Yeller friction call was a little like American Express. Nobody at night in Hale went to the turkey woods without it. This gobbler has probably been following these hens around all morning. And when the sweet sounds of old Yeller pierce the wind, he thinks he's found his long-lost love.
But you know what, Harold, when they got down there, of course, you know, normally when turkeys are coming to you, it's always been our policy not to call to them.
Yeah.
But you saw they was going to head right on, and with all them hens, you gave that little old call in there, and he stopped and looked and turned and came back and almost ran to you.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, I could not believe that turkey decided to come to us like that.
Well, a couple of good tips is, first of all, no matter how bad the weather is, you got to go. And second of all, with the wind blowing and howling like it is, and this is a major tip, you're not going to hear anything up on these hills. You got to get in the bottom and let that wind blow over, and you can hear these, where you can hear the sound.
Let's join Harold Knight and David Hale for an ultimate Spring 5 turkey hunting tip.
Harold, every year you and I are asked to come up with some tips that are different. Now, ain't that crazy? You know, you think you've told everything there is out there, but I think we got one special this time that's not only good for the beginner, but it's good for the seasoned hunter because he's probably never thought about it. And that is, how do you read the response of a turkey when he gobbles at you? When that turkey gobbles at you, what's he saying? I'm going to ask you the question, you give me the answer. Here's a scenario. You're calling, giving your best calling scenario that you can give out there, your sequence, and he breaks in on you calling. What does that mean?
Dave, I like it. That means I've got a good turkey to call to, and I'm going to sit down right there. I'm not going to move in any closer. This is the kind of turkey I'm looking for.
Okay, you got a 2 to 3 second delay. You've given your series, he doesn't say anything for about 3 or 4 seconds, and then he gobbles. What does that mean?
Well, that means that a lot of times I'm going to have to get up and move a little closer to that gobbler where he can I can maybe fire him up because, you know, obviously he's not as interested
Okay, well, the first time he broke in on you calling, you sat right there. The second time, he's got a delay that allows you time to go to him.
That's
He's
right.
not quite. Now, let's suppose that there's a 20-second delay or a 30-second delay. What do you think then?
Every time that is a delay like that, I think the turkey's got hens with him. I mean, I really do. I think he's strutting around those hens and honoring those hens, and he's not as interested in me because he's got what he wants right there.
And you know, sometimes it could be, now think about this, sometimes it could be another turkey in the bunch that's strutting to your calling. You don't hear him strut,
Yeah.
and he answers that strutting by gobbling at that strutter.
Absolutely could do that.
So you could just sit down right there, and maybe you got a bunch of subordinate gobblers that's coming in. Well, let's suppose, Harold, that he's gobbling every time you call, but he's getting further away. What's the deal here?
Well, you know, that happens everywhere we go. In every state we hunt, we call them pressured turkeys. And a lot of times when I say pressured turkeys, I mean turkeys. The hen a lot of times will lead that gobbler off. And because when you start calling, she hears that hen call, she takes off the other way with that gobbler. She don't know competition with him. But a lot of times that gobbler will be by himself. He's got a area he wants to go to and just strut. And he'll sit there and strut back and forth, and the strutting will call those hens up.
Gonna be tougher to call those kind of turkeys up,
That's
wouldn't it?
exactly right.
But what if he just breaks in there and double gobbles? Every time you call, he'll double gobble at you.
Oh, heck, that's the kind I want. I mean, I think that's a perfect turkey, I think, when he double gobble. I'm going to sit down right there, David, and call that turkey up if I can.
Well, you know, Harold, many times, and people don't understand this, when they get out there in the morning, they make a call, old turkey, a gobble, but he won't gobble again. He's just one timer. He shot gobbles.
That turkey be tough right there. But I want him to gobble 2 or 3 times so I can locate him exactly where he's at.
How many times have we driven down the road in public hunt areas, get out and make your world famous cutting sound, he gobbles, and I say, we ain't going to him until he gobbles that second time.
And we've drove off a lot of times.
Absolutely drove off a lot of times. Here's another scenario. How many times have you heard turkeys just really booming gobble at you calling, and other times you just hear sort of a half-hearted gobble?
Well, when that booming gobble, that means to me that's a dominant gobbler most of the time. And I mean, he's fired up, he is the dominant. And when you hear that half gobble a lot of times, or a lower gobble, that means that's a subordinate gobbler a lot of times. He's sometimes scared to gobble real loud because he's probably been whipped.
He could be a pretty easy turkey call up, couldn't he?
I've killed a many of those because they'll skirt around that old gobbler and he'll come to me first.
You know, for whatever the reason, sometimes we don't always know what happens in the woods, but we go in the woods and all of a sudden this turkey you call and he starts gobbling. He gobbles for a minute, 10 or 15 times in that minute. I mean, he's just really excited gobbling. What do you usually think's happening there?
Something has fired him up. And a lot of times hens will make a yip that you can't hear, and boy, he hears it and he's fired up.
Well, you know what I found? If you get on the same level with that turkey, no matter what it is, he's easy to call up then.
Absolutely.
But he may gobble at everything you're doing, but get on that same level and you can get him.
That's right.
Well, Harold, you know, when you stop and think about all the different scenarios and there's a bunch of them of turkeys gobbling at you.
Yeah, one of them is, David, what do you do when one shuts up?
Oh, absolutely. If you're asking me the question, I know what I'm
Yeah.
going to do. There's one thing I'm never going to do is get up and go see where that turkey's at. I'm going to sit there and be ready because a lot of times they'll come in quiet.
Hunt with them eyes, because
Hunt
you
with
better
them
not
eyes.
move anything. 'cause
He's answering everything you're doing, and he just shuts up. Boy, have I ever been there. And a lot of times I like it, and other times I don't, because sometimes in public hunt areas, somebody's just spooked that turkey.
I'll
But,
tell you what, my heart gets beating fast when that happens, though, but I know what's fixing to happen.
but I'll tell you what, if people will do, if they'll learn to read the gobble and how he responds to you, whether it be a delay or whether it be instantly, it's going to tell you where to set up, how much to call. It's going to make you a better turkey hunter. You're going to get the job done quicker, and you're going to enjoy it a whole lot more, and I promise you it's going to make you more successful.
I agree 100% on that.
Now, let's look at an afternoon hunt that shows how important scouting can be, especially early in the season when the gobbling usually only lasts a short while in the mornings. Chuck and Bob Robb were in an area where 3 gobblers were heard. The birds were gobbling on the roost and flying down to hens, which usually means the party's over. Well, these guys found a food plot with lots of fresh turkey signs. So on this windy afternoon, they found a comfortable spot to nestle into. The plan was to do some blind calling throughout the evening. Chuck's favorite call on dry, windy days is the old yeller friction call. It has the volume needed to pierce the wind and ring an old gobbler's ears. Remember, when an old gobbler decides to come to you, don't mess up and overcall.
I tell you what, let's do, Harold. We get right around this pine thicket right here. There's some clover coming up on that field. A lot of times they'll get out there in the afternoons, and we'll slip up over the top of that hill, see if we can see them.
These turkeys get in the field a lot in the afternoon, don't they?
Some of the guns fight a lot in the afternoon, too.
Yeah. This
Get out
time of
here.
year they're going to fight.
Well, you know, here it is, what, the 29th, 30th day of March, 85 degrees. Can you
All
believe
record
it?
temperature high. Well, I can take that before I can take that freezing weather in March. I love that warm weather.
Yeah, I guarantee you. Well, I'm ready to do it, I'll tell you that. We'll get right up here and we'll park this
All
truck.
right. We'll get out and see if we can see one. We'll slip right up there and look for them through the field glaze.
Well, folks, Earl Bentz has spent lots of time scouting for the upcoming spring turkey season. He's located several gobblers and has not harassed these birds at all. Earl knows several places he can sneak to undetected and try to spot some
How are
birds.
we going to get them turkeys?
Harold, what we're going to have to do is get back in the truck and go around. They're working their way down that ridge and try to get down there ahead of them. About the only way I know to do it.
You know, those hens, it looks like it's leaping them pretty fast. They're not keeping up as good as I thought.
No, they up there just showing off. I think if we get down in front of them and get down that ridge,
I believe we call them turkeys up.
well, I've seen you call them up in tougher places than that. Let's go try it.
Let's go.
In the afternoon, it helps to find some turkeys, then move close to them and hopefully call one in. This could be a perfect scenario. These gobblers have lost sight of their hens. Harold and Earl can now take advantage of this situation and hopefully help David get some good footage. These guys have maneuvered in front of this flock, which can be a strong advantage. It's easier to call any game when you are in their line of travel.
I'll tell you a good tip is find them without any hens. And that's what we did. We found these turkeys without any hens. And I tell you what, this is a 2-year-old gobbler, which is an adult gobbler, and that is exactly what you're looking for. And
I'll tell you what, he's got a big old thick
oh,
beard
he's
on
a
him.
nice turkey. That's a nice turkey. But how many was it? 4?
3 of them came down. There was a 4th one up there. They started
thought I
fighting
heard
up
that.
on top of that hill up there, and man, I'm telling you, I guess they ran the other one off. But this was the one doing the strutting right here. So
they have to settle that score about every day. What do you say? Let's pick this dude up and get out of here, and maybe I can get to come back in the morning. And maybe we can get to shoot another.
That sounds good to me. Let's go. I sure enjoyed it.
Like we said, we had some different conditions to spring turkey hunt this year. This morning in Tennessee, Harold and David had to cut their way through the fog. But before long, this duo found a vocal gobbler. boys pushed up to the edge of a long pasture, and David pulls out his favorite yelper, the ultimate push-pull. The boys have done some remodeling on the call, and it sounds like this gobbler approves of the change. Listen close, and you'll hear the faint strutting and drumming sounds as the big gobbler inches his way up the ridge.
You know, we've been through the awfulest weather this year. We've gone from rain to wind to wind to wind to rain to wind, and this morning fog. Have you ever
At
seen
least
anything
it
like
was still. I could hear this
At
morning.
least it was still. You know, out hooting early this morning, we heard about 6, 7 turkeys gobble, and I'm not sure with all the bad weather we've had, they wasn't ready to gobble.
I tell you what, I was ready to hear them gobble. I can tell you that because I'm going to tell you, David, I've been the last few mornings, I couldn't even hear a turkey so windy. I'm going to tell you something else. I could hear that little call. You can't believe how far you can hear that little call.
I think a common mistake that most people make on a foggy day or a calm day like this, turkeys can hear forever, and we call way too loud.
Well, I can tell you one thing, that sounded good. And I noticed you've got that new call that's got the wooden
Yeah, we got
pedal
the
on it.
piano wire and a wooden pedal on it, and I know what.
Gives it a louder trigger.
Well, you guys know I've always been a push-pull
Oh,
man,
haven't
and it was
been-
about time we come out with a new improved version model of my end of it, and I sure am tickled to death.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I watched you from a distance. I couldn't see. It looked like you was putting that on your gun barrel there when that turkey got in close when you had your gun.
Well,
up.
I was hitting the top of my knee just real easy right there. He'd strut over the side of the ridge there and look the other way, and I could see which way he was looking. I was just trying to get his attention back here because I didn't know whether he was going to walk off or not. You know, when a turkey comes that far, he knows exactly where that hen sound was.
Oh, he knew
And
exactly.
when he got
where
up
that-
here close, she didn't say nothing. He began to panic a little.
You know, this fog helped us this morning, Dave. These turkeys can't see. It's like us. They can't see as good in fog.
They can't see as well, and it probably covered up some of our mistakes this morning. But we made a plenty of them the last few days.
I tell you what,
that.
we needed an easy turkey if it's such thing.
Well, that was a typical 2-year-old, little old 2-year-old spur there, and he was born to act. He did a good job. I think he deserves the Academy Award. You take him, and I'm gonna get the gun.
Goodness, he's heavy.
I think since I got him, I think you ought to pack him out.
We've set up twice on this gobbler. Haven't done any good yet, but he's got some hens with him. Last time we heard him, he's moving around the end of this point and up this draw right here. He started gobbling pretty hard on his own, so we're thinking maybe that those hens got away from him. He's looking for some more hens. I think he's right in this draw right here. You think we ought to check him one time? Check him. Oh, wait. Oh, there he is right there, right there. Let's go right here and set up. Come on, Joe.
There's nothing like taking your time and making sure you make the proper setup. On this hunt, Walter had set up 2 other times, but the old gobbler seemed to want to go in the other direction. Walter carefully circled the bird and got on a big ridge in front of him. Luckily, the gobbler answered those crows because he was really close. Well, this gobbler had lost his hens, so Walter mixed calls from Old Yeller and the select cutter had the boy convinced they were on the ridge, and it wasn't long before he strutted into view. The bird hopped up on a log so he could look around and to make sure the hens could see his full fan. There was no reason to call again. This bird knows exactly where those hen sounds came from. It was time to be patient and let him make the next move.
They're great when
That's
they
what makes
happen.
it so exciting, though. You know, we're right here slipping down the ridge, and you're not hearing anything, and all of a sudden that boom and gobble right there on top of you, and man, your heart jumps up in your throat, and it's really exciting.
Well, you know what makes a difference is when you ease along like we did. It took us 45 minutes. That turkey he ain't moved 300 yards all
Right.
morning. We knew he was going to stay right in this area. There's cutover over here, and there was hens were nesting in it. So we decided we'd go to the next knob. If nothing else, just sit down there.
I think a lot of people make a big mistake. A lot of hunters make mistakes by moving like that too much, and we were just probing around, just taking it easy and doing a lot of listening, more listening than anything else.
Now let's join Walter Parrott and Chuck Jones for an ultimate Spring 5 turkey hunting tip.
All right, Mr. Parrott, my foul weather friend. After 7 years of hunting with you, I've realized that your luck is all bad. It's foul weather, it's bad weather.
And this spring wasn't any different, was it?
No, and surely
Windy.
surely you have a tip for these folks out there because you're used to hunting that kind of weather.
Yeah, I grew up hunting that kind of weather, especially the wind. You know, to me, that's my worst enemy because I can't hear. Luckily, the turkeys can hear 10 times better than I can. But I like to go back into the area where I know there's turkeys, and that stems back to your scouting, you know, and get right back in there where you know the birds are. And I like to use a loud call, which is friction calls and my mouth diaphragm, and I like to use that tube call a lot too.
You use a tube call a lot, and you use a 4-reed cutter. And I tell you another good tip I think in the wind is splitting up. And we all have learned to hunt together, and it's very important to have your partner off of there 40, 50 yards away where he can listen. Another good idea is pick your spot that you want to set up just in case that gobbler's 100 yards and he cuts
Right.
you off, because you know how they get in that wind. They panic, and a lot of times they will come to you immediately.
You know, and back to picking your spot, even in any hunting situation, you need to take your time and pick that tree out, especially if nothing's going on. You're going to sit in an area and do some calling. You know, look the terrain over and make sure you can turn up the turkey bush. You don't know where the gobbler he may come from behind you. So make sure you can turn all the way around that tree and you got a good shooting lane all the way around. Look things over when you sit down there and be familiar with the area.
Okay, say in rain, obviously the Silver Queen is the call to use because
Totally
it's
waterproof.
totally waterproof. It's got an ultimate striker that's matched with it. You can submerge it in water and it'll work. In wind, be a little more patient, go back to scouting, and set up in areas and do a lot more calling.
Mm-hmm.
You favored the old yeller call this year, the new Slatec call, the head volume we used to a ton. Why don't you demonstrate that call? Show us what it'll do in wind.
Great little call. You can call loud on it, call soft on it. The harder you push, the louder it gets. Same technique as before, simply make an egg shape on it from the yelp. Cuts, just flick your wrist.
Okay, if y'all will notice, he's making a egg-shaped yelp with his striker. And one thing that's very important, he's never taken the tip of his striker off the surface of the call when he's running.
The striker won't make a noise when you go back up, and it helps guide your striker.
So just pick your pattern out like that. Do the egg-shaped yelp and the cut. He's coming back to the top and going down with quick.
Just drawing a little quarter-inch line, letting the striker go right straight back up and pushing down a little bit and flicking it.
You know, another thing too, that call will work extremely well in close-in situations. Real soft yelp. It not only has a ton of volume, it'll be soft, it'll be clear, and it will be super raspy like an old hen can get when she gets excited.
Very raspy, and you know, cluck and purr, you just simply make your striker a little bit longer.
Moving your fingers up the peg a little more.
What that does is let the striker vibrate and skip across the calling surface. Then the cluck, you just push down and...
Okay. Give me a little demonstration on how to use a mouth diaphragm.
Okay, the mouth diaphragm. First of all hunters want to use a mouth diaphragm because they can be set up in that perfect shooting position when that turkey gets to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for those that are just learning to use a mouth diaphragm, the first thing they need to do is get the right call. They need to get a straight double reed call.
Okay.
The hen yelp is made up of a high-low note. As you can see, we got a tab on our calls. That tab
Okay,
always
that's
goes down.
downside.
Always goes down.
All right.
Simply put the call on the roof of your mouth, push it up with your tongue. I'm going to huff air between my tongue and the latex.
Got the high
Okay,
note.
that's the high note. Now I'm going to drop my tongue off to get the low note.
Okay. You're using
Now
your
let's
jaw
see,
a lot too. You're dropping your jaw.
Just slightly, just
Okay.
slightly.
That's awesome. I tell you what, that sounds good, but it doesn't sound quite as good as that old hen that Harold had a dueling contest with last year. We're about to show that footage, and she sounds a lot like this box call.
She sounds
What do you say
exactly
we
like
take
a
a look
box
at that?
call. Let's do it.
Now that's our double-sided box call, and you can get a high pitch on the top like you're doing, and a little raspier on the bottom. But I know the call will do it, but I'm not real sure about the caller, buddy. She has got you beat by a mile. You better go back to practicing.
Aaron, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna call real loud. This wind's blowing. And you listen, I'm gonna get away from him just a little bit. You listen. When you hear him gobble, you tell me. What I think that turkey's doing, he's going to the other end of that field, and we're gonna have to get around it. So if you listen, if you hear him gobble, because it's hard to hear a turkey gobble when you blow his mouth called real loud. All right, what we're gonna do, look here, let's go right up here and go around that field. That's where he intercepts with those hens a lot of times, early in that field. And that's what he's doing. I bet you he hears a hen right now. And we're going to have to get down there, because I'm going to tell you something. It ain't nobody can out call a live turkey hen, I can tell you that. So let's go.
Country music entertainer Aaron Tippin, Harold, and cameraman Tony Hurt are after what we at Night and Hale call a seasoned gobbler. In other words, he's been hunted all season. The boys are definitely going to have to do a lot of work and have a little luck if they're going to bag this gobbler.
Thank good for this wind right here. They can't hear us or see us as good. Of course, we got a lot of stuff between us. Now, what I want you to do is go right over and sit down, and I'm going to slip right down there and see exactly what's happening. Okay. All right. Just watch me.
Harold is still hoping that this bird might not have hens and possibly will leave the field and come to the call. But this is not the case. Knowing that it's impossible to call a gobbler away from hens, Harold decides to try to get Aaron up close enough for a shot by crawling up to the dry creek bed. Harold is sitting where he can watch these birds and let Aaron know when it's safe to move. Easy, Aaron. As long as these hens are around, this gobbler is not going anywhere. Those pretty yelps did bring this big gobbler a little closer. Still, Aaron needs about 10 more very crucial yards.
Set up right over there. This is gonna work great.
On opening day in the Bluegrass State, Walter had a great scenario. He maneuvered between a gobbler and his hens on the roost. The old gobbler was roosted far enough from the hens to allow Walter to ease between and flush the hens out of the trees and away from the gobbler. This tends to make a gobbler panic when he goes to sleep with a flock of eager hens and wakes up to find them gone. Walter eased to the edge of the small field and was set up exactly where the hens were roosted. All of that gobbling is what brings the hens to him. Remember, we turkey hunters are reversing nature by calling the gobbler to us. So when a bird is really vocal and answers often, he'll come to you if you give him enough time. Some gobblers will run right in, and others will take more time. A turkey hunter's best weapon is patience.
Let's talk about what happened this morning. Of course, we walked up that hollow,
Exactly.
and that turkey gobbled off to the left, and some hens started tree calling 100 yards or so off to the right, and we were dead between them. It wasn't planned that way.
No,
but
it sure wasn't.
The good Lord takes care of idiots, they say, and we fell right in.
He was watching a couple this morning. wasn't
I'm
he?
telling you. But, you know, you did something there that I thought was good. You eased over there toward those hens. Of course, you knew you had room, and pushed them a little bit, and they flew the country.
And flew. A lot of times they'll fly toward that gobbler, but they flew the other way. And I mean, we were really fortunate they did
Boy,
that.
I saw your eyes light up then. I said, man, he's feeling good. And that's a perfect scenario, too. I mean, it is absolutely perfect.
No doubt.
That's a good turkey.
Great turkey, man. He gobbled a little bit, didn't he?
Man, he put on a show, and he finally showed up in that field. I couldn't see him. I heard him walking, and I saw you get down on that gun. I was like, oh, man, this first day, I hope you don't shoot that turkey before I can see you. But he got in that field and stayed there. And
He's been strapped with those hens in that field, hasn't he? We just knew he was going to come in there.
Harry, you talking about red buds, it don't get no prettier than this, does it?
This is just about as pretty as you see red buds in the state of Kentucky.
These dogwoods are just ready to bloom out.
Red buds are always a little ahead of your dogwoods. Dogwoods now is turning sort of that yellowish color, and it'll turn real white the next few days, the sunshine out.
I think it's some kind of a trigger mechanism in a turkey. When he sees these red buds and dogwoods blooming, he knows it's time, don't
That's
he?
exactly, he knows it's time in.
Well, you know what? It's a trigger button in me, and I know it's time.
Well, I've always said April's my favorite month of the year.
Harold, you got to come back to these old LBO hills every once in a while. Just get another dose of it, don't you?
You ain't joking, man. I tell you what, this is an enjoyable day when you get to come back over here, especially where your old home place was. You know, the old saying is ain't nothing like home. I don't care where you from, you always like to go back home.
Well, this is certainly going to bring some memories back to you. Now, I wasn't raised over here, but I spent 25, 30 years over here chasing these turkeys too, so I kind of feel like it's home to me.
You've got a lot of memories too over here, don't you?
Absolutely, and I tell you what, right around up here is where you was raised, and we're going to pull in here and just see if his great, well, I don't know how many great his grandkids is going to yip at, gobble at you.
Spring has sprung here in the land between the lakes in Kentucky, and Harold has been drawn for the first quota hunt. Let's join him and David for some hardwood hill gobbler hunting.
Oh, I thought I heard him. I think I heard him. Wait.
Harold and David like to return to areas where they heard turkeys gobbling at daybreak. Many times these gobblers will fly down with some hens and court them for 2 or 3 hours. Then the hens will sneak off. This usually puts the gobbler in a state of panic, and the Knight and Hale boys love this situation. This old gobbler is in love with the sweet sounds David is making on his favorite call, the push-pull box.
Thank goodness this 835 had more than one bullet in it, because I'm going to tell you something, if it hadn't, I'd have been looking for that turkey for a while probably.
Well, everybody wants to talk, or a lot of folks want to talk about taking a single shot. There's a prime example of why you don't need a single shot.
Well, it is with me anyway.
Well, Harold, how does it feel to be within a quarter of a mile where you was raised, right here in Lamb Between the Lakes.
You ain't gonna believe, David, I was sitting here while we were working this turkey, and I looked at a big poplar tree that I've killed a mini squirrel out of, and I remember that's the first time I ever seen a squirrel, get a poplar ball and eat it. And it's in one of these big poplar trees right here.
Well, now, come on now. I know that all was great memories, but surely you wasn't thinking about that when that turkey was coming up.
Absolutely was, because, I love the squirrel hunt, but, I love the turkey hunt too. But it brings back a lot of fond memories going over these old hills. It's been 40 years ago when I first started turkey hunting these hills, and they look the same, David. I mean, they hadn't changed hardly any.
Well, now, our style this morning was running and gunning. We've stopped about 15 ridges and called, and you got him to answer. Was that your style back in that day?
Well, back in those days, Dave, we didn't have any turkey calls. I couldn't call a turkey up because I didn't have him to call him up with.
So you had to learn to hunt him more then, didn't you?
Woodsmanship had to take over back in those days, and it'll help you right now if you're, woodsmanship will.
Well, we have had a good crop this year of 2-year-old turkeys, and this one got lonesome about 9:30. And
what did we sit and talk about this morning?
Said about 9:30, so we don't even panic and let some of these hens get away from them, and they did. And this one here was lonesome as a Maytag repairman, and that little old push-pull, and I got back here.
Oh, man.
I got in the perfect little dip right there, Harold, where I could see everything that's going on, and you got in there about 40 yards in front of me. And, one thing I noticed, he answered that hawk call. You called that hawk up, and then he sat up there and did that.
One series of hawk calling, all I had to do. That hawk would scream out that little raspy scream. That turkey would answer it every time. That hadn't changed any either, David. I remember hunting over here for years and years, and turkeys seemed to answer a hawk call in these hills.
Well, what was great about it, Harold? The one thing that most people want to do is call to make him gobble so you see where he's coming.
Yeah.
They didn't have to. He was doing all that.
I'll tell you what, he helped us, didn't he?
He helped us because we were being patient calling. He had to come look. Well, buddy, I'm glad you got some memories, and I enjoy 40 years later being sitting here watching you kill this turkey. I don't even want to ask how many you killed because you don't even know yourself. But this Lamb Between the Lakes is a memory to me too, and I'm just about ready to go do a little more running and gunning.
I tell you what, this is still a perfect turkey day. No wind, sunshine. The leaves is about the size of a squirrel's ear. It's perfect. Dogwoods is blooming. Redbuds in full bloom.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. This time you run, and I gun.
All right. You going to pack the turkey out?
No.
Say, see him? Where is he? There's a creek between us.
This hunt takes place in the Mark Twain National Forest in central Missouri. Chuck and Walter have made their way into an area where some turkeys started gobbling on their own around 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, there are a couple of gobblers in this valley with female company, but they seem interested. Sounds like this old hen has had enough of those boys. When Walter imitates her calls with his mouth diaphragm, she comes running, and Chuck thinks the gobbler might be right behind. This obviously is an old longbeard, and he's doing all he can to get her to come back. There are two things that probably made this gobbler finally come on in. There was another gobbler closing in, and if you noticed after that hen came through, Chuck and Walter never made another call, which made him think the hens had gone up on the ridge.
He's heavy, Mr. Perry.
Is he heavy?
Yeah.
Wow.
They're unloaded. I tell you what. I thought the way he gobbled and acted, he's gonna be 6 years old. He's a 3-year-old turkey.
Yeah. Look how blunt his spurs are. These rocks around here, they keep them wore down. They don't get sharp here.
Man, I tell you.
Hello there.
Now that turkey's come for a half a mile, hadn't he?
He was coming to him gobble. That's what he was doing.
That hen, you know, that hen was going to that turkey. And you made a little old yelp, and buddy, she turned. She yelped like a Jake did, and she turned and came right by us, and she got up there. Did you see me move my hand? That's when she saw me. She got
really?
past us. Yeah, I did my hand like this, but she was past me. I said, I want to make sure she doesn't go back to that gobbler. And I thought, man, she starts putting real bad, but she got to clucking a little bit and walked off.
Let's join Jim Strelick for another Ultimate Spring 5 turkey hunting tip.
More and more archers are turkey hunting for turkeys both in the spring and the fall. okay? And the problem we have mainly is I get asked, Jim, where should I shoot this turkey? Where should I shoot this turkey? And the misconception they have is, you know, in the spring of the year, a gun hunter doesn't shoot a turkey with a shotgun in the breast. It doesn't do any good. There's nothing there but meat. What you need to do is get to the vitals. Now, a gun hunter shoots a turkey right up here in the head. They always say shoot him in the head and neck. That's an awful small target for you and I, and it moves quick. So what we need to do is concentrate on the vitals and remember on the anatomy of a turkey where the vitals are. Now, what I'd like for you to do is always remember to come right up the leg, go up to the top of the leg, and place your shot right in here. You know, when you field dress the turkey, when you go in under the breastbone there, the first thing you get are the vitals. So remember that. They're right in this area here. And remember, if you're gonna take a shot at a turkey from the back, again, remember where the vitals are. You need to go in up in this area right here, so you go in and go through the vitals. So my tip to you for this week is, remember, if you're turkey hunting with a bow, this doesn't do you any good up here. Let's get in the vitals and do a good job and make a clean kill.
Turkey hunting is a passion that's shared among all of the Knight and Hale families. There's nothing that Harold and David enjoy more than helping someone outwit an old spring gobbler. On this hunt, Christy Sherriger, David's daughter, is in for a very special spring outing. It is prime time here on the home hunting grounds for the Knight and Hale team. This trio is into a bunch of gobbling turkeys. But as the story unfolds, the guys figure out there are several jakes and one big gobbler. This is a perfect scenario because many times the jakes will cause an old bird to get a little jealous and make a fatal mistake. Harold's combination of a 4-reed cutter and the Slaytech Old Yeller friction call sounds like two excited old hens. These jakes are the lookers for this old gobbler, and they'll tell on a hunter if he moves. When the woods are open like this, you have to be careful not to make any movement at all.
baby. Come on.
Good job.
Christy, what do you think? Did you enjoy that this
Yeah, I
morning, kiddo?
did. That was a lot of fun. I appreciate the help.
Well, I tell you what, you done a good job, Christy. You held that gun up about as long as you can hold the gun.
Well, that old turkey moved from over here to over yonder and back to over here, and I saw her have to move. And you know, most people don't know when to move. And of course, you sitting there helping her along the way. But this is her. What is this? Your third turkey you killed?
It's third year.
Third year you've hunted, and you got a little recognition now about how to handle yourself around a tree. Harold, one quick tip on calling. You changed calls 2 or 3 times there.
I used a single reed mouth call there, David. It gave me a call that was different. You know, this is getting the later part of the season. They've heard everything. And of course, that friction call, old Yeller.
Yeah, well, that goes without saying about it. We've had so much luck. You like to finish them up with that.
I'm going to tell you something. That's the easiest call I ever used in my life. Anybody can use that call.
Well, I'm going to say one thing about this old turkey. He was the gobblingest 4 to 5 year old gobbler I've ever seen in my life.
You know what? He was an actor, wasn't he?
He was an actor, and he was made for you, gal. You ready to go do something different? And, well, maybe I'll tell you what we need to do. Let's go check this turkey in, and then you turn me and Harold loose and let us go see if we can do some good.
I appreciate it. I think I can do that.
All right, girl.
It's late in the Tennessee season when things can be a little tough. Harold and cameraman Tony Hurt are with an avid spring gobbler hunter and one of America's favorite pro bass fishermen, Hank Parker. Well, Harold has saved a sweet little spot for old Hank. He is in for one fantastic hunt. It's not often that you find longbeards together this late in the season, but when you do, if you can get them fired up with some great calling, they often try to outrun each other to get to the hen. Harold's soft yelp as the gobblers approach reassures them that the hen is just inside of the tree line.
Shoot the first turkey.
What happened, big boy?
Hey, the cleanest miss. That's what you wanted, wasn't it?
I guarantee you, it wasn't no crippled bird. That was a miss. You ain't come close hitting that turkey.
You didn't want to hit him, did you? You mean you wanted to kill him?
Man, I tell you what, I've seen some misses, but that's the missest miss I ever seen.
Well, but that's hard, Harold. You got 5 long-bearded gobblers.
29 yards.
25 yards in it. That feels so low, you know? I mean, all that grass under their feet.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get out of here.
I don't want to get out of here. Hey, let's stay here. I'll tell you what, let's stay. Can you put a decoy or something up out there? Maybe I can practice.
I don't believe you get a decoy.
You got a car?
Oh, man.
No, seriously now. I mean, you know, let's be honest for the camera. We didn't really want to kill these birds. He told me when he come in here, he said, clean miss them. Clean miss them. Don't even bring a feather.
He takes instructions good, too.
I ain't got no more bullets. I didn't bring but 2 bullets.
Harold and his guide, Jeff Palmer of Rocking W Outfitters, are cautiously moving through this rolling, pine-studded country of Montana, trying to pinpoint a Merriam gobbler. The turkey answered Harold's aggressive cutting, but he was quite a distance away, so the boys weren't able to pinpoint his location.
Let's call right here. I'm gonna use a crow call. He answered that turkey call twice. There he was, right there. All right, listen, you get right there. Let me have this decoy. I'm gonna put it on that knob right out yonder. Get right down right straight.
A locator call has allowed Harold to find this gobbler. Now, Harold can get set and start some hen calling. When a gobbler answers frequently like this old Merriam, if you're patient and give him plenty of time, he'll usually come on in, unless there's some major obstacle between you and him.
A tip I'd like to give the viewing audience today is that you can call a turkey out here a long way versus the east where I'm from. Don't be afraid to set up 300 or 400 yards and call one of these turkeys, because he'll come to you on a march. And if you'll notice something we did today, I crow called this turkey, get him to answer me once or twice. The reason we did that so that I wouldn't get him on a march to us so early before we got set up the way we wanted to.
Yeah, it was
And
good locator.
it's a good locator call. And you know, another thing too, Jeff, we used that motion Higdon decoy this morning. Am I glad you asked, do you want to take this? And you packed it all morning, and thank goodness that I had it, because that was a perfect scenario there to put a decoy.
Oh, yeah.
This was a good killing situation this morning, but not a real good filming situation. I think we got some pretty good footage here this morning, but I'd like for it to have been a little longer, because, you know, when the turkey come in gun range, man, he was close. I mean, he was real close. I mean, when I first saw the turkeys in gun range. But I enjoyed that, and I thank you for your help. And I tell you what, Jeff, I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pack this old turkey, and you pack the decoy, and we're gonna go try to find another one for one of the other boys.
That'll work.
Let's go and get out of here.
You know, that may be the single best new product we've ever come out with, old yellow.
I tell you what, that sounds like a turkey.
You know, guys, in hunting, now again, this year we went to about 7, 8 different states, spent about 60 days out there. This is 40-something years. We've all hunted about a piece. Of course, that ain't make you not quite that old, Chuck, but Harold and I've been around that long. And every year, we think we know it all, and we learn something different. And I think the one thing that we want to talk about right here that we learned different is some hen sounds that we heard this year that were fighting sounds. Now, we had the fighting purrs. We've done some hunts with that. It's still a great call. I don't think people use it as much as they should. That's imitating gobblers most of the time. But Harold, we came up with a sound this year and captured it on video where hens were fighting, and the response those gobblers was giving to it was unbelievable.
That's exactly right, David. And the only a call that I can really do that with that sounds close to it is this little pocket slate. And I've tried all of them. And the sound they make is a real aggressive.
It's on the front end, isn't it?
It's got that whine on the front.
I tell you what, that turned them gobblers all to pieces. It just tires them up.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We didn't really plan this until here at the last minute, but we're going to share about a minute of that footage of those hens doing that. And I want the audience to listen to that, and then come back when we get done here. I want you to run that thing one more time, and I want to compare how realistic that sounds on that new pocket slate there. Now let's hear you do it.
Boy, that's tough.
I guarantee you that's going to work.
You think you want to answer that?
I guarantee you it's going to answer
They
that.
did, didn't they?
He's that going right. Well, you know, that's an extremely good product that we've come out with this year. It's a pocket size. It fits in your pocket. It's very compact. And speaking of friction calls, of course, they don't get no better than no yellow, does it?
Oh, yeah. You know, and it takes a lot of skill to recognize that sound and to imitate it, reproduce it.
I'm
Now,
glad we got it on film so we can listen to it and look at it.
But all it takes is practice. I like the size of cup on that pocket slate,
I do
too.
too.
That's important. Fits your hand good, but this sweet baby right here, and we're the only company that's got this material. Is that right?
That's right. The
exactly right.
Slatex is ours.
Okay, it's a formulated material, and it is as user-friendly as any turkey call that I've ever heard. You can make every sound a hen makes. Highs, lows, soft, raspy, clear, everything. And, you know, we've got a 3-pack of pigs this year, an exotic, a hickory, and the ultimate, which makes every friction call
This
waterproof.
comes with two. It comes with a waterproof and a hickory.
Okay.
And it also comes with a little stone here to rough it up with.
Well, I'm going to buy me a pack, a 3-pack, too, to go with it,
Oh,
because
yeah.
a turkey hunter don't ever get enough. You got to keep your vest full. But
That's exactly right.
this
Chuck,
is
run
the
it.
exotic. Misses a little note,
That
slips just
sounds
like
good.
an old hen, doesn't it?
Well, that's good. And we did a bunch of hunts with it this year, there's no doubt, and I liked it. But boys, y'all not going to replace my old Silver Queen now. My pockets, my vest is going to have one of these in it, and for one reason only, if nothing else. Some days, turkeys want to hear something different. That's got a
different
tinny,
pitch.
a different pitch. That's got a tinny sound to it. I'm going to have the old Silver Queen in there. And of course, you know, when we looked at that footage a while ago, that wasn't the only hen footage we captured this year. One of the best pieces I've ever seen that we've ever captured was when Harold got in that contest with that hen this past year.
Who won?
Well, I don't know. I tell you what, she mocked everything he did. It wasn't the reverse. He wasn't mocking her. She was mocking him. And I think that the thing that we got out of that was if you can imitate a hen like that, you can call her up. She was a boss hen. She didn't like it. She came up there and made her mad. A gobbler sometimes will follow. And we had that youth out there hunting with us.
He gobbled, but he never did come up to us.
That's exactly right. But you know what, Harold? You're a mouth diaphragm man.
That's exactly right, David. I like a mouth diaphragm. I use one about every day I turkey hunt. That particular day I was using a call, little 2-reed call, and it was everything I'd do, she'd do. Only thing she'd do it better.
Well, that 2 reeds in a 3-pack.
That's in that little 3-pack
That's
there.
a double split.
Little double split. It's just a real easy call to use. Most anybody can use a double split call.
Well, you're talking about easy calls to use now. Y'all not going to get me out. I don't care what you show me out here on this table. You're not going to get me away from a little push-pull. And you know what, Harold? You even went to the extent to improve it this year by putting a piano wire in it.
And a wood top.
And a wooden top. And anybody can pick the call up, turn it upside down, and push it.
Well, I'll tell you this, that's a good call. That's
You
I
talking
tell you
user-friendly.
I saw that call about 3 or 4 gobblers up with this man right here this year. You backed up, and in high-pressured areas over in LBL, y'all call some turkeys up, and you backed
Well,
up.
I'll
It's phenomenal.
I'll have to vouch for David. He really showed me something of that little push and pull this year.
Well, guys, I'll tell you one thing. We got all this new product here, Harold. You got that little pocket slate that's going to imitate those hen sounds. And Jones, you got this old yeller here that's going to imitate everything there is out there to imitate just about. And you know what, with my little new and improved push-pull, this thing is idiot-proof. I'm going to stick with the idiot-proof stuff. I'll probably use some of that old stuff, too.
I might as well all have our vest full of this stuff.
Well, speaking of vests being full, now that's one thing that we haven't talked about. Hale's come out with the ultimate hunting vest. Notice it is light. You can see through it with great big pockets.
I really like that.
You can reach down there and find what you're looking for.
It's cool.
It's-
These straps up here's a lot of open area.
And I will tell you what, probably the most exciting thing I got about it is,
You can open it up and let it down and put it back up without anybody helping you.
that's exactly right. I'm embarrassed half
Or
time
have
to
to
ask.
take it off.
That's exactly right. Well, boys, I'll tell you what, I'm excited about this up and coming turkey season because we have got some fantastic product to use, and I promise you, there's going to be some turkeys out there wish they hadn't heard it.
Here are some of the fine outfitters and public lands the Knight and Hale team recommends for hunting wild turkeys.